News segment time. The news. So speaking of fireflies, I found this article. It had nothing.
Oh,
It wasn't in relation. I don't know. It is what it is. Anyways, uh, MIT, great guys. They developed robotic lightning bugs. Uh, they're basically batteries with wings. uh,
that,
they weigh less than a paperclip, so they weigh less than a gram, which I think is freaking impressive. Anyways,
yeah.
basically right now they really can't do much because they're really limited by power. But like in the future, they're thinking we could get like swarms of these things to like search through wreckage and stuff for people, and they can use the lights to communicate with each other. So
LEDs, I imagine.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and originally, these things we could only track them with like thermal cameras, which don't work outside. But then some guy came up with the idea to put LEDs in the wings, and so now, or maybe they're on. I don't remember what the LEDs
Wait,
are.
thermal cameras don't work outside?
Well, like the ones they needed that were gonna track these things.
Oh, because the ambient air is too warm.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so they come up. So then they came up with the idea to add LEDs to these things, and now you can track them with just smartphone cameras, which makes them much more practical and usable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, so pretty cool. Kind of on the same lines with those little like not nano, micro robots that we were
Yeah.
that Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about sending to Alpha Centauri using giant lasers.
Oh, I thought the things like go inside the body and
Well,
repair
no,
issues.
no. I mean, I guess this is probably one step closer to those kinds of things, but yeah. Uh, anyways, uh, China this week, frickers. Uh, so they're
What did they
like,
do?
well, they haven't done anything. It's what they plan to do. So basically, the U.S. and ESA, we got a rover on the surface of Mars, currently taking samples, and the sample return mission is sometime in like the early 2030s. China's like, no. We can do this quicker. So China's plan is to send a rover in the end of the 2020s, lands,
Yeah.
and then we'll send them back 2 years before NASA
To the moon
to
or Mars?
Mars.
Or human with rover or
No.
rover?
Samples. Like they send a rover, take samples, and they send the samples back.
Oh, wait. Do we not have any samples from Mars?
Only asteroids.
Oh, We've never had a probe return.
No, it's incredibly difficult, which is why a lot of people are like, no way China's gonna be able to pull this off.
Well, yeah, it's like, but no, it's like, wait, we're gonna go to Mars before we brought a robot back.
No, and we're not even bringing the robots back. We're literally just putting them in a little rocket and launching that up into orbit where it meets with another rocket that then goes back to Earth.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, one of the YouTubers I watched that was talking about this, and he's just like, China's samples aren't going to be that useful for scientific. They're still gonna be interesting, but they're not gonna be full of scientific data as the ones that Perseverance is doing.
Yeah.
Because just Perseverance is, we're hand picking, we're selecting specific, we're taking drills. I think this is more of a take a scoop of Martian soil and bring it back type thing.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Maybe a rock or so. So it's cool, but it's not quite as useful as taking, samples of layered rocks that we can examine for ancient bacteria and fossils and
Hey,
stuff.
everyone has to start somewhere.
Well, no, the whole thing,
Baby
and
steps.
China, the time that China's going to be their lander's going to be working is going to be during global dust storms, and so like the YouTubers like I'm not even sure how much work they're going to be able to get done because it's going to be the conditions are going to be too inhospitable. Anyways, I mean, don't get me wrong. China has done some impressive stuff with the rovers they've already got there. Like they launched a rover. It's basically its whole mission was to land on the surface of the planet and take a selfie. So
She
basically,
did.
it did. It did it great. It's honestly a really cool photo. So basically, it had this little box. So it landed on the surface of Mars. Uh, it rolled out, took took its a camera basically in a box, set it on the ground, rolled back, so that it was in frame with the rover and the lander in the
Okay.
shot, and they took a photo, which is a big deal for like for a space program that's never landed a rover on Mars, and they've already landed basically two
Yeah.
sections,
I was just thinking.
and it's about.
So, oh, sorry, go on.
Anyways, so in China, the big thing is like getting people excited about space. So a lot of
Yeah.
things they do are actually a lot of things they do send up multiple satellites whose entire job is to take pictures of the satellite because that gets people excited about space. And I'm like, I wish the U.S. did more of these things. I think it's really cool what China's doing because cameras are cheap now, and so we can send all kinds of them. Uh,
You put the camera on anything.
huh?
Cameras on the phone.
What?
The cameras on the phone. They said they put cameras on everything.
Right. And so, anyways, so just China.
Pretty sure next thing you know, there'll be cameras on your fridge, and you can just look at it. Hold up a finger like number one. Like fill me up a glass of water. Number two, fill me up a glass of ice water. Number three, open the freezer. And
Anyways,
and slide out the ice cream tray,
so
like a
just
retractable tray.
yeah,
Make it much more easier. Make it much easier to grab stuff in the back.
yeah.
Provided it doesn't topple over as it comes out. Oh, I suppose I could put little side rails.
Well, anyways, so I mean, as it's
I should become a refrigerator engineer.
China's what China's suggesting here is just it's kind of absurd. But China's already done some crazy stuff. It's just that it's kind of like it's more of like they're kind of drum up some news or whatever and trying to tell the US and ESA like despite the fact that you have decades of research and development ahead of us, we can do it faster, quicker, better, and cheaper. And it's like, well, I shouldn't say better. I guarantee you the science we're gonna get from the sample returns, uh, from the from Perseverance are gonna be way better than whatever China brings up.
Wow.
No, no,
Wow.
no. It's just the nature of what they're doing. We're spending years picking samples and selecting them, and I think we're gonna get way more samples than what they're doing. They're basically landing on the Mars, taking up a
But at the end of the
scoop
day,
and putting it into
it's
orbit. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. The sheer act of getting it back into orbit, that alone is impressive. But it's just, it's I don't I it's good to see competition, but at the same time, I don't really like that they've kind of just saying that they can do this, and the fact that I don't know, it is what it is. Kind of U.S. fanboy thing. You want to see U.S. and ESA do everything first, but I mean, at some point, another country or group of people is gonna have to take over. But it is what it is. And this could all change. I mean, freaking Elon Musk's, uh, uh, Elon Musk's Starship could change everything. Anyways, actually, SpaceX is next in the news. But you were gonna say something?
Oh, a long time ago. I was going to make a comment on, you know, what a Martian nighttime sky would be like, without any daylight, without any, light pollution. The only problem is they have two moons. And so I was kind of curious, how far away the moons are, and whether or not it'd be a lunar eclipse year round. Probably not. 'Cause I don't know what the tilt is and everything. Or if they'd have full moons, and how often the two moons are in the sky at the same time. So you could actually enjoy the night sky from Mars. Because the atmosphere is even less than on Earth. It's 1%.
Well, so, well, actually, I watched a video about, or may have read something. Anyways, they were talking about the validity of putting telescopes on Mars. Because of Mars's atmosphere, it's like, and just, it's not better to put a telescope on Mars than it is to just
Why?
do it on Earth.
Why?
Because since its atmosphere is mostly carbon dioxide, that's not good for infrared telescopes, which is the only things we'd be wanting to put there anyways.
Oh, but optical would be so much better.
We're
Well, I
not,
mean, no,
but we
not
don't
better than
need. But the thing
infrared.
is, though, for that amount of money, it would be cheaper just to put it at L2.
Yeah.
And
Wait, carbon dioxide, there's that much of it that it's not worth it?
it's mostly carbon dioxide. It's like,
Yeah, but I mean 1% though, so there's enough of that 1%.
what do you mean of 1%? The whole atmosphere is carbon dioxide.
Yes, but the quantity of it is great enough. It's
Yes.
1%, yes, even if it's all carbon dioxide, it's the quantity of that amount.
Yeah, it's greater.
I'm asking I'm asking that is significant.
So let's say Mars's atmosphere is 90% carbon dioxide. And let's assume that its atmosphere is 1% the thickness of Earth's. Therefore, that is 0.9% carbon dioxide relative to Earth. As we're on Earth, carbon dioxide is 0.01%.
Oh,
It's way worse. Granted, Earth also has water vapor, but that can kind of be avoided, by Billy and Chili. You can't avoid that on Mars. I mean, you could build it on Olympus Mons, but again, the price to build it on Mars and to get the stuff there is just not worth it. It's a lot cheaper. Excuse me. To put the telescope in L2 or put it in low Earth orbit. It's just not worth it. Now, maybe in the future, when we want to build mega telescopes and getting to, but like even then, L2 is still going to be cheaper because it's, 48 million
L2.
miles closer.
It's closer. It's gravitationally stable.
No, it's unstable.
Oh, so it's a hill.
Mm-hmm. You can't put it in valleys.
Are
Too many
the stable
meteorites.
ones filled with asteroids?
Yeah.
Oh, that would explain it.
Actually, it's already been hit by like multiple micrometeorites, and actually one of them did not like quite a bit of damage, but it did enough to where it's like
James Webb.
Yeah, like it's not it's not gonna hurt it. Like we anticipated these things. It was just a bit bigger than like they would have liked. Cause it's no big deal because like I said, there's a telescope down in Texas that was shot like 3 or 4 times with a pistol, and it did scientific research up until the 90s. and has been used in multiple scientific papers. So,
Wow.
like, it's the same principle, except with space guns. Anyways. On to SpaceX. So, I know I told you, but tell everybody else, SpaceX has been approved by the FAA, the EPA, but coincidentally FAA, to do their launches down in Boca Chica, as long as they adhere to 75 things. Like they made a list of 75 things that SpaceX needs to adhere by. A lot of it's to deal with the turtles, and just cleaning up and protecting the beaches. Also, they're not allowed to launch on weekends, pretty much, like every weekend and every federal holiday, because they don't want to have to close down the beaches because they want people to be able to go on the beaches. Their lights have to be positioned and shielded in correct ways so that it's not to interfere with the turtles, because the turtles could confuse the lights for the moon, and that will
Yeah.
throw off how they get to the ocean, because it's a big breeding ground for turtles.
Mhm.
Uh, Among a host of other things, those things were in there. And so, yeah, this isn't like necessarily going to be like their long term kind of place. Like the FAA only approved it for like 5 orbital launches, and then I think they have to go back into review. And even then, I don't know if they'll be able to do it, but that's okay. I don't think SpaceX needs any more than that. By that point, they'll have the Florida one up and running, and so they'll just use that. And I was thinking, could SpaceX do? Like, obviously, you want to do it as close to the equator as possible, but obviously, in the U.S., you can't really do that. We're nowhere near the equator. And so I was thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, where else could SpaceX build a launch facility? And I realized that they cannot build one basically without ocean access, because there's too much crap in the way. Like, let's say you built one out by like uh not North Platte, Broken Bow, right? Okay, you can fly over South Dakota, Montana, and might be able to thread the needle, but there's too many people there. Like, even though there's nothing there, comparatively to like here, there's still way more people in this area here than there is over here, you know. So I don't think they'll, like, because they want to be able to get anywhere in the world in 30 minutes. Anywhere that has ocean access in 30 minutes. Because, I mean, unless, we're talking 50, 60 years in the future and these are like planes and they're fine with launching them over populated areas. uh,
Yeah.
there's
What? Oh, sorry, I'm talking.
there's no way they're launching from like Nebraska or something. It's just not possible. It's just not going to happen. And
Yeah.
Nebraska or in like Wyoming or Montana, it's like as desolate as you can get, and that's still not enough. Plus, you wouldn't want to go this far north anyways. You want to go south, like in Florida or Boca Chica, Texas, which is at the very tip of Texas. There, it's literally like 3 miles from Mexico. And I was thinking, well, maybe they could go to Hawaii on the Big Island or something, which actually doesn't get you, okay, it gets you a lot further south than I'm thinking. Not,
Yeah, it's like almost on the Tropic of Capricorn.
it's just below it, and that, yeah, I think it's Tropic of Capricorn. I'm looking here. Should say somewhere Tropic of Cancer. My bad. Oh, okay. Basically, all of Hawaii is below the Tropic of Cancer. Well, anyways, uh, which is significantly lower than which, I mean, Probably. Oh, actually, it's about 90. I think it's about 99 miles off the coast of Florida because I think Florida is 99 miles from Cuba. Something like
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah, it's something like that, if I remember correctly. Because that was like the big threat why we were concerned about missiles in Cuba during the Cold War because it's so close to the United States. Like, it's incredibly close. Well, anyways, so you really you're gaining, maybe an extra 100 miles, which I mean could save you a lot of rocket fuel, but I don't think they'll let you launch in Hawaii. Considering they won't let us build more telescopes in Hawaii, I don't think they'll let them build launch pads. Plus, Hawaii's out in the middle of the ocean. How the hell are you going to get all the building materials there in any reasonable amount of time? You're not going to. It's going to be too expensive. Anyways, moving on to another part about SpaceX. They launched 3 rockets in one weekend, all within like 36 hours of each other.
3?
3.
Where are they headed to?
What?
Where are they headed to?
So there was one in Florida, one in Vandenberg, and then the last one was in Florida again. The first launch in Florida was Starlink. The Vandenberg one, I don't remember what it was, but the third one in Florida, this is the cool one. So it was a ride. Actually, it was. We knew there was one satellite on. There was like this communication satellite. Well, like one or two of these communication satellites. These communication satellites, they're super declassified. They used to fly in the Soyuz rockets, so there's nothing. They're not communication. Are they? Oh yeah, they're just. There's nothing too big about them. They're just standard communication satellites. No big deal. They used to launch in the Soyuz rockets. It's whatever. But this other one, the rocket had to land on a barge, meaning that the payload was heavier than what than what we were told, and
Yeah.
we weren't allowed views of the second stage until like after there was like a good period of time where the cameras cut out and we weren't allowed to see the second stage as if they were launching another satellite. So whatever we deduced that the U.S. government ride shared, and like it's like super top secret, like so top secret they didn't tell us. But like at the same time, it's like how can it be this top secret if they put it on a rideshare mission? Like what? Like put it on its own mission. And it's like we could also see with telescopes that there are 4 satellites in orbit when only a few others. When there was only supposed to be like 2 or 3 satellites that were supposed to launch. So like obviously something ride shared along on this lost launch, and so like those conspiracy theories, blah 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 blah. But like it is confirmed that like something else was launched with those satellites that was super classified. That like we weren't even told it was being launched classified. Like usually we're told like, yes, we're doing a launch for the U.S. Space Force. It's classified. That's it. You watch the launch. You see the second stage ignite its engine, and that's the end of it. You don't see anything else. But in this case, In this case, they just didn't tell us anything. But obviously, we can do the math. We can compare it to previous launches, and they had to cut the cameras out for an extended period of time. So it's like there was obviously something they didn't want us to see. So kind of interesting, but it's what it is. Anyways, so yeah, that was all the news this week. Pretty cool. Pretty cool what SpaceX has done. They have launched 100 recovered rockets, which is an impressive number, nonetheless. it's kind of a big middle finger to all the people that said that it couldn't be done, or it could be done, but it could never be profitable. And now we do it all the time. SpaceX did 3 in 1 weekend. So, pretty cool. And like one of the YouTubers I watched, he says that we haven't seen this many rockets get launched since back in the day when they were testing ICBMs. So, pretty crazy. And we're just doing this as like normal stuff. Anyways, anything else you want to add to the news? Anything you saw? Otherwise, we'll move on to the third segment.
No.
Well, okay then.